Welcome, Greek U Nation, to episode number 696 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mike Eilon, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and an author. Our ninth book just came out. It's called From Letters to Leaders, The Legacy of Service. I want you to go out and pick up that book on Amazon today. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there is nothing like great food to bring college students together. Fun fact, so many college students are trying to figure out if they are on the right path in life. And many of them are looking to their friends to see if perhaps the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. So figuring out your identity in college is really critical. And I want you to ask these questions. I want you to ask, what are you good at? What do you feel makes you the most fulfilled? And also, what does the world need from you right now? Those key questions can help you get closer to the answer. Our next guest has plenty to say about identity and achievement. Dwayne Morton is a former international basketball player, but his biggest accomplishments happened away from the court. He's a published author, an inspirational speaker, a podcast host, a resilience integrity coach, and mental performance expert to elite athletes, business, and thought leaders. Dwayne is dedicated to inspiring resilience, igniting purpose, and empowering others to rise above life's setbacks by showing up fully, mentally, emotionally, and intentionally to win and overcome in every arena of life. He learned through his challenging experiences dealing with an 18-year misdiagnosed blood cancer and a bystander of a police shooting as well. Both challenges were not based on his decision, but he took the responsibility and overcame. Welcome to the show, Dwayne.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you so much for having me on. Looking forward to this. And so one of the things is when you hear people read your bio, like it just hits so differently. And so I'm in this receive mode. So I really appreciate the way you were sharing my bio.
Yeah, my pleasure. Listen, if you want to, pack me away in your suitcase and take me to all of your speaking engagements all over the planet, man, I'm small. I can fit in that suitcase, no problem.
I'm sure I probably can make room for you. So yeah, maybe we'll work out a deal on
Let's
that.
work out a deal. So let's talk about it. Let's get into it. You were an international basketball player. Not a lot of people can say that. I certainly can. I never had the height for it. But you often say that your greatest accomplishments happened away from the court. So what led you to that realization that basketball is not for me and actually there's other things that I'm going to be even better at?
So for me, Dr. Mike, is I realized that whenever I achieved it, there was a lack of fulfillment, and it was one of the dreams I had when since I was 4 years old. And so when I realized like why don't I have this fulfillment, I was wanting more and more and more. And unfortunately, my career path kind of ended with a knee injury, and then it really I wanted to become a pro player, and and then I was like, okay, well, stop. Like, what are we doing? And then I identified as a basketball player. I was just like, I'm just a basketball player. And then through these two other challenges, I realized that no, I'm not just a basketball player. Basketball equipped me to be able to handle different things that happen in my life, and so that's where the real achievements are, with the battling the misdiagnosis and dealing with the shooting, but also dealing with learning my purpose. I think that was the most important part, is just being able to understand my purpose and what I can bring to other people.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that you're bringing that to other people. That's important to give back in that way. I want to talk about the misdiagnosis that you mentioned. And a lot of people don't even know this. They might even be learning this, even people who are very close to me. They might be learning this for the first time, listening to my words right now. But I was actually misdiagnosed a few years ago, and I was misdiagnosed for lung cancer, of all things. I do not have cancer, okay? I just want to make that very clear. I am not sick at all. It was a misdiagnosis. And it wasn't until they did the biopsy did they figure out that this is actually not cancer at all. And so you go from one extreme to the next, right? I mean, first I'm planning my funeral, and the next I'm like, oh, I'm good to go. And I felt great the whole way. So I was like totally confused. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I feel great, right? So, and your life changed dramatically when you spent 18 years living with misdiagnosed blood cancer. So, talk to our audience about that. What did that experience teach you about resilience that most people never learn?
Yeah, so for the first thing is the time. 18 years, what do we put and identify as time? 18 years, that's a high school diploma. And I was like, where did this time go? And for a long time, I was like, I don't understand. And then also, I had to come to an acceptance. Also, I felt terrible. So I couldn't get up 3 flights of stairs. So there also was an invitation for me to go from elite athlete to, hey, I'm struggling just to go use the bathroom, go get a glass of OJ. So I also had to understand celebration of just those things and the little wins. Um, then it was acceptance to gratefulness, and I think gratefulness was really the door to resilience, where I was like, okay, I know I'm here, but I also know that I can still be a man of purpose, a great member of the community. We raised money for Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, all those type of things. And so when I found out that I was misdiagnosed, I was like, oh, I can be healthy. Then I was able to go after the dreams that I was chasing. I think that was really the important part. But resilience, I think the door to that is just being able to accept and then also be grateful. I think gratitude is such the door to so many beautiful things in our life.
Yeah, I wish that every college student listening right now really spent some time every morning just journaling and writing down what you're grateful for. I think that can really change your life. I mean, I really, really mean that because they have so much to be thankful for, and especially in the fraternity and sorority community, when you think about everything that you have in life. I mean, you're a college student. I mean, not everybody in the world gets to go to college. Let's just start there, right? So we're blessed. And so I think we have responsibility to lift other people up with that blessing. The other thing too is you witnessed a police shooting, and we see these things on TV now. It seems like all the time with the body cameras and other things that are available. And this event is obviously completely outside of your control. I mean, you have no control that you're going to walk in on something like that. So how did that experience shape your perspective on responsibility versus victimhood? This happened to me.
Yeah, so first of all, I want to give some context because I wasn't just a witness, I was actually a bystander. So the truck that I was driving actually got struck by a bullet. So I could just hold on to that victim part. But what I really understood, Dr. Mike, was this: I needed to take as much ownership of being there, the timing. I also had my 3-year-old niece. So there was also a part of me being a protector. I had to forgive myself to be able to let go of that circumstance. And I think that's where we kind of mess up with things sometimes when we're not aware of, like, who am I forgiving? I'm forgiving me. Like, it all comes back to me. And I know that so many people are like, well, that sounds selfish. It's actually not, because that's what forgiveness is. When we say, I'm sorry, it is for ourselves to say, hey, I'm sorry about this situation to myself. And that allows us your nervous system to go down. So that was the thing, man. I had to take the ownership as much as I could. There was a part of this circumstance that I attributed to. I decided to go take my niece to go get ice cream. So number one. Number two, I could have went straight, or I could have turned right. Those were things that I could say, hey, I had ownership of this situation, and allow myself to be able to release myself from it.
Nice. I think the key to life is really just showing up. I mean, sometimes the hardest days are just getting out of bed. And so, you really got to push through and make sure that you show up. And sometimes you're just in the right place at the right time, and something really amazing happens to you. And, you have this program that's called The Power of Showing Up. So, what does showing up actually look like when we're talking about our friendships? When we're talking about leadership in an organization, when we're talking about, student organization or chapter life.
Yeah, so first of all, showing up to me is way more than just being in attendance. It's actually being intentional and being intentionally present. And I'll say that again, intentionally present. So when I'm intentionally present, I'm not thinking about other things right now. I'm thinking about just this moment. So for the invitation to college students is to be able to be present in class and not thinking about the next test or or whatever the relationship. Also, when they're in those relationship moments, be able to really cherish those relationship moments. Same thing with people in leadership. Allow yourself to really feel, hey, these people are looking for what I'm about to say, and that I have some type of pressure, but also I have people who are looking to me to be able to create those type of decisions. I'm in a place, like, I think so many people just don't realize the power of presence. And then when you realize the power of presence, everything is so much easier and it feels so much better. You're able to cherish the moments, the memories actually last even better. And I don't reflect too much, but I still think there's moments of time to reflect. And when you reflect, you're able to actually go back to that moment and really feel that level.
Well, I hope that the college students are intentionally present because, yeah, these are some of the best times of your life, and they're very formative moments as well, I think, in your life and your career. So, being intentionally present is really, really important. You have another keynote. It's called Identity Before Achievement. And that really caught my attention because, we're thinking about college students, and a lot of them really don't know really who they are at that point in their lives. I know I certainly didn't. It was just, I was building it. So why is building your identity so important before chasing success?
Yeah. So the identity part is, find the identity, be a part of that identity to see if you even desire to be in that identity. If I go for 12 years to be a doctor and I decide, hey, I don't want to be a doctor, I don't want to have to study, I don't want to have to do these things, then you probably should have, you're getting redirected in your life. And I think there's a way that you can actually take a hold of that earlier on, is just to find out, hey, do I desire? For me, is like with when you go back to as a kid, if I wanted to be a teacher, was I making like a plan? Was I doing like, hey, look at history, or with my parents or with someone else? Was I doing those type of things? And then that shows that there might be a desire. But I believe also neuroscience wise, you have to act as if for it to really come to fruition. And I think that's the other powerful part. Science has been such a wonderful way to back all these metaphysical type things that some people would say are woo woo, but now they're proven by science. So I think that's another just extremely important part of it, is to be able to say, I'm going to act as if. How would I be today if I was a professor? How would I be if I was going to be a doctor or an attorney? And that'll allow you to know if I want to be that or if I don't want to be that.
Very nice. I'm a huge New York Knicks fan, originally from Manhattan. And of course, the Knicks, as you know, have won the championship last season. So they are the world champion New York Knicks now, which makes me very happy as a native New Yorker to see them finally get over the top. And they did it in a way that I think surprised the world. They did it with a 6-1. And, he's saying that, that, that Brunson is 6-1 is like saying, I don't know, he's not really 6'1". Let's just leave it at that. But the reality is that here you have a 6'1" guy that literally dominated the game and consistently performed at that end of the season at such a high level that it just blows the mind, right? And so I'm curious about that because you've worked with these elite athletes, you've worked with top executives, you've worked with thought leaders. What mindset separates all of these people, right, like Brunson, who consistently perform under pressure from those who don't?
Yeah. So first of all, I like Jalen Brunson. I've admired him since his Villanova days. He has a toughness part to him, but it starts with mental toughness. And so I think that's one of the things, is like these guys are mentally tough, and most of them do some type of mental performance to actually be able to hold. Other thing is they have an uncanny ability to remain calm, whether there's a fire, whether there's whatever. They have an ability to remain calm, and through that calming process, they're still able to perform. And once the performance part is, then they might be like, oh, okay, I wasn't expecting this. And then also from a leadership, a student perspective, as a high performer, they have a great ability to compartmentalize things. And when you're able to compartmentalize and you can know, hey, I can take care of this later, it doesn't have to be taken right now. I think that's a very important thing. I think there is a danger when I talk with high performers also is when you over compartmentalize and then you have all these boxes surrounded you and you haven't been taking care of them. So there's also that aspect. And so I help them actually shift into, okay, compartmentalize them, box them, but then when we get done, let's take care of some of these boxes because you can't carry all these boxes forever. Eventually that weight is going to just weigh you down.
Very nice. You have another program that kind of interested me as well, the Decisions That Define You, which really focuses on intentional living. What are some of maybe seemingly small decisions that college students make that end up having enormous or long-term consequences in their lives?
Well, first of all, for college students, number one is they pick that school more than likely. So the location is chosen. They haven't had very many choices throughout life. So this is really the number one choice for them. But it also is the one that they can take the longest. Things like what fraternity you join or sorority. Also, let's look at am I away from home? Am I close to home? Those things are all factors. And then also like let's just be honest. They're tempted. There's temptations involved. Do they take a temptation? Do they chase an experience? So I think it's really important to just realize the power of choice. And when you realize the power of a choice and realize that these are young adults who are making this for the first time, more than likely without having some type of guidance, I think it's really a place where they probably a mentor would be really an amazing thing for them and also allow them to understand the power of a mentor. I think that's another part of this, but really I think the first thing that they're going to have to choose, man, is that location, because that choice, that college, that university, you can't go and study nuclear science if there's not a place to study nuclear science at that school. I talk with athletes that are going to college and stuff, and I say, hey, this basketball part is great, but like what are you going to study there? Is that program available? And so it's kind of like second thought, but it really should be first thought.
Yeah, that's a really great point. And you're absolutely right about the mentor piece as well. I think that's a total game changer. And obviously, within athletics, within fraternity and sorority life, those mentors are available. And I think you have a big advantage if you can get one of those mentors on your side. I think too many college students are looking at their peers, other students, for advice instead of going to the mentor, going to the person who's been there and who's done that, and getting some advice with some life experience. I think is really really important. Now, when we're talking about athletics or we're talking about fraternity and sorority life on a college campus, many of these students will talk about values, things that are important to them. But sometimes, and we've seen it both in athletics and we've seen it in fraternity and sorority life, culture doesn't match those values. Somehow these things get out of whack. So, how can student leaders close that gap between culture, and their actions and their stated values?
So I believe in one thing. I believe that to have a better world, you have to create better communities, and that is created by one person, and that's you. And that's that the invitation to just do better. Like, if I go to somewhere and there's a bathroom and there's like water on a sink, I can choose to clean it up. It's not my mess, but I can choose to clean it up. It's the same thing as like we can always choose to do better. And then also, what am I leaving the other people with? Am I leaving them with a mess that I came across? What did that do to me? I think is really extremely important. And I think that's the other part is when um, for those students to realize the power of just doing better. Like, hey, something that I don't agree with, so I'm just going to do better. You know, leave a desk at a school. Don't leave your trash. It's really simple. It doesn't take that long to take your trash and throw it in. But also, if you don't, then somebody else has to do it for you. Like there's a part of entitlement I think that so many people get into, and it really just goes back to just basic choices. And I think that is this better than what it was when I came here.
Yeah. I think you make some great points there, Dwayne. I remember one fraternity house that I went to. I'm not going to out them and mention the school or the fraternity, but they showed me their party house, and they had a party on Saturday night, and I was touring this party house on a Wednesday. So we're talking about 5 days later, and the place was still trashed, and it was like a full-on mess everywhere. And there was nobody sleeping in the party house. It's just like an event space, but they also use that event space for meals. So they had been coming for 5 days, right? Before I saw it, coming for meals, and everyone is stepping over the mess rather than pick it up. And I'm like, guys, this is not going to get better with age. You realize this, right? Like every
No,
day it's
it
getting
gets worse.
progressively worse, and you're not cleaning it up. You're choosing to step over it and saying, well, somebody else is going to handle it. It's not going to be me. Right? So you all had a choice.
Yeah, it's amazing how we decide, especially as young adults, and we're like, well, I didn't do it. So like, it goes back to just do better. Like, it doesn't. It just changes with one person, and then it creates a culture to do better. I think
There
it's
you
so
go.
important.
Yeah, do better. I mean, and that's a reflection on your fraternity because that house, that party house, was maybe 1 block away from campus. So people are driving by and seeing your mess in your yard. And that's a reflection on you. Your letters are up on that house. That makes you look what? Trashy. That's what it makes you look. I'm being straight with you. And the university knew it. So we got to do better, guys. I mean, even if it's not your mess, I understand the principle of it, but collectively, like that's a reflection on you because you wear those same letters. So let's think about that, right? Now, Dwayne, I wanted to talk to you about mental health because this has become a major topic on college campuses today. So, how do you distinguish between building resilience in life and simply telling people to tough it out?
Yeah, great question. So first of all, resilience and tough it out is two different things. I think there also is a part where the acceptance at peace, but then also let's just say to be resilient doesn't mean that I can't say something didn't hurt me. Like for me to say, hey, that misdiagnosis didn't hurt me, or the being involved in a police shooting didn't hurt me. Like I have to be able to own those feelings and then also be able to express those feelings and it be okay. That's the other aspect. And when you realize that those things are okay to be, hey, this pissed me off, but then also like I don't have to stay in that pissed offness. I can transmute that power, that energy into something more positive, like how I'm doing, able to go and talk to about these type of things to help others. It's the lessons that we're able to facilitate. And I think that's the power of it. That's the power of the mental health is to say, hey, it's okay to raise your hand and say, I'm struggling with this. And then guess what? You're going to find other people who are going to support you. They're going to there's so many communities also in this world, especially now on this online part. Other thing I would be very dismissive if I didn't say, especially in what I've been able to the knowledge I've been able to learn in the last few months with my mental health podcast. 68,000 men commit suicide every month. It's 1 million men every year. And that's because we tough it out, but we just suppress. Instead of suppressing, if we allow that expression to come out and have other people help us through it, I think that's the important step. And there's plenty of community projects. I think there's a pride issue to some of that too, is just being able to say, hey, I need help. And also know that help's out there. So I think that's really the mental health crisis. I think we could really turn that around just by doing that. It's just being identified and accepting where we're at and then ask for help.
Yeah. Well, that's the opposite of suppression is connection. And I think that's what we need more of. And that's why I'm such a big believer in fraternity and athletics. You have a team of people that are looking out for you at all times. And if we can learn to be vulnerable as men and just kind of level with each other and just say, hey, Dwayne, I'm going through a tough time right now. And just look to our brothers and sisters and teammates for support and that we can hear it and help them get the help that they need, that's huge. And that's very different than being a lone wolf on a college campus and not having that team, not having the fraternity brothers or sorority sisters that are looking out for you. So that's why I'm such a big supporter of the fraternity and sorority system. I think that support is critical, especially for today's college students. I think it's more relevant than ever. And I think that there are tons of men out there that don't have close friends. They don't. I'm just being honest with you. They don't. They don't. It's lower for men in terms of number of close friends than it is for women. And actually, both for Gen Z is low. And so we need to have more close friends. And I think fraternity and sorority gives you that. And I think it's so critical to our students growing today and getting the support that they need to be successful. So. So really well said stuff here. Now our audience is filled with fraternity and sorority students, athletes, alumni. All of them want to leave a meaningful legacy. And I think about legacy a lot, especially the older I get. I think about legacy all the time. So what does living with purpose and integrity mean to you?
Yeah, I think they go hand in hand. Purpose is, it goes hand in hand with integrity. Integrity is where we're whole. What makes me whole? It's going to be different than what yours is, Mike. It's going to be different what the person across the street is. Whole and purpose, that's where you find alignment. And when you find alignment, that's a whole different level. And that's what you're looking for and you're searching for. And so purpose is what I need to feel like I need to do for the world. And then that, I think, builds legacy. When you're in integrity, you're whole, and you're also with your purpose. And it builds that alignment for that legacy. I think legacy is the most important thing for us as individuals to be able to leave something for behind. I like to do things and pay it forward. When I have people do nice gestures for me, I'm like, I always want to pay it forward. I don't want to just, I want to say thank you and gratitude, but I also want to pay it forward to build that legacy. And I think that's a really important part, is just to be able to say, hey, like, where am I? What makes me whole? And it's going to be different. That's the other part, is to be able to be understanding of that my wholeness is going to be different than other people, and be okay with that. And same thing with purpose. My purpose might be different, but my alignment with others will be the magic sauce to leave a true legacy.
Awesome. This has been a great conversation, Dwayne. I definitely appreciate you opening up to our listeners and sharing all of these really just interesting thoughts and some of the keynotes that you're bringing to college campuses as well. So if our student listeners, if they want to book you to speak on their college campus, where should they go in order to connect with you?
Yeah, the best place to go is my website, dwaynemorton.com. And then there will be a spot where it says book Dwayne or contact Dwayne, and reach out that way. And there's a form to fill out. And so that would be the best way to reach me for these type of opportunities.
Fantastic. It's DwayneMorton.com, DwayneMorton.com. Go to the website and book Dwayne to come to your college campus so that way he can share more of these keynotes. I think he's going to be an absolute rock star for you. So, Dwayne, thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you so much to the listeners. I think sometimes we forget as podcasters to not to, if they don't show up for us, then we're doing this for not. And so I just want to say thank you to the listeners for giving us their time.
Absolutely. And that brings me to the next step, which is if you learned something today from Dwayne, I want you to share this episode with your entire fraternity or sorority chapter, your entire athletic team. So all you got to do is just grab that link and throw it into a group chat or just share it on social media, because you never know who needs to hear Dwayne's message today. Thank you to our listeners. We'll see you on the next episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Bye for now.